Good day, everyone. I hope that you are all good at this point in time because I, Christian Ray Mata, is thrilled to share with you another exciting lesson. So sit back, relax, get your notebook, and absorb this important topic. Are you ready? Let's go! We shall continue to the Part 3 lesson of Module 1 in Quarter 2 of Science 10 subject. This is still part of our lesson about electromagnetic wave. Here is the learning competency of this episode. Compare the relative wavelengths of different forms of electromagnetic waves. In this lesson, you will learn about the characteristics of electromagnetic waves. You will also find here their physical wave features, the frequency and wavelength. Moreover, this lesson enables you to gain more information on how the different types of electromagnetic waves are arranged according to its wavelength and frequency. At the end of this episode, we will be able to attain the following objectives. First is to relate the wavelength and frequency of a wave. Second is to identify the different regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. And lastly is to apply the basic wave equation in solving problems involving wavelength and frequency. But before proceeding to our formal discussion, let's have first a short pretest. So get your pen and notebook and answer the following. All you have to do is to write agree or disagree on the following sentences. Let's begin with sentence number 1. An inverse relationship means as one increases, the other decreases. Do you agree or disagree? You can pause this video to answer. How about in number 2 sentence? As frequencies increase on the electromagnetic spectrum, wavelengths decrease. Do you agree or disagree? You can pause this video to answer. How about in this sentence? Radio waves have shorter wavelengths than ultraviolet rays. Do you agree or disagree? You can pause this video to answer. Let's proceed to sentence number 4. All forms of electromagnetic waves can have varying speeds in a vacuum. Do you agree or disagree? You can pause this video to answer. And the last sentence is, gamma rays have the highest frequency and therefore contain photons with lowest energies. Do you agree or disagree? You can pause this video to answer. Recall that in Lesson 1, the following examples of electromagnetic waves were introduced: radio waves, visible light, or the light that can be seen by our eyes, and X-rays, which commonly used in hospitals or medical fields. All of them are examples of electromagnetic waves, and all of them travel at the speed of 3 × 10 raised to 8 meter per second, or 300,000 km per second in vacuum. But are you not wondering why light is the only wave that can be seen among the 3? Why we cannot see radio waves and X-rays? Well, it is because electromagnetic waves have varying wavelengths and frequencies. And because of this, we have different forms of electromagnetic waves. 7 actually. Let's look the following questions. You can take note these questions to guide you along this learning episode. First, what is the relationship between wavelength and frequency of a wave? Second, what are the different regions of the electromagnetic spectrum? And lastly, what is the basic wave equation? Let's start by answering question number 1. What is the relationship between wavelength and frequency of a wave? Let us recall from grade 7 science what wavelength and frequency are first. Suppose we have a rope and we move it up and down to produce some waves as shown in the picture. The highest points are called crests, while the lowest points are called troughs. And the distance between two consecutive crests and troughs is called wavelength. Always remember that the unit of wavelength is in meter. Next is the frequency. So frequency is the number of cycles of a wave in a second. One cycle wave is one complete evolution of its shape until the point that it is ready to repeat itself. For example, we have 1, then this is the endpoint, followed by 2, 3, which means that the frequency of this wave is 3 waves per second, or 3 Hertz. So Hertz is the unit of frequency. Since we already know about frequency and wavelength and what is the relationship of the two, let's take a look to these two waves. Which do you think has the highest frequency? How about lowest frequency? And which of the two has the longest wavelength and has the shortest wavelength? Here is the answer. The wave on the upper part has the higher frequency but has the shortest wavelength, while the one on the lower part has the lower frequency but has a longest wavelength. So it simply means that frequency and wavelength are inversely proportional to each other. Because all electromagnetic waves travel at the same speed, if the frequency of a wave changes, then the wavelength must change as well. Waves with the longest wavelengths have the lowest frequency, while the waves with the shortest wavelengths have the highest frequencies. The amount of energy carried by an electromagnetic wave increases with its frequency. So now let us proceed to question number 2. What are the different regions of the electromagnetic spectrum? The wide range of electromagnetic waves with different frequencies and wavelengths form the electromagnetic spectrum. This spectrum is divided into 7 main parts. Note that there is no defining region for each form of electromagnetic waves. Look at the value of the frequencies and wavelengths. As frequency increases, the wavelength decreases. This means that radio waves have the longest wavelengths and gamma rays have the shortest wavelengths. But the radio waves has the least frequency and gamma rays have the highest frequency. These electromagnetic waves carrying energy inside their photons. Photons are bundles or packets of wave energy. A photon's energy is directly proportional to frequency. The higher the frequency, the higher the photon's energy. From among the electromagnetic waves, gamma rays carry photons of high energy, while radio waves have photons with the lowest energies because it has lowest frequency. Let's take a closer look at the regions of electromagnetic spectrum. So radio waves are found the longest wavelengths on the electromagnetic spectrum. They are used to broadcast radio and television. Next is the microwaves, which is used in cooking, radar, telephone, and other signals. Followed by infrared rays, which transmits heat from sun, fires, and radiators. Followed by visible light, which makes things able to be seen. Next is the ultraviolet rays, which absorbed by the skin, used in fluorescent tubes. Followed by X-ray, which is used to view inside of bodies and objects. And lastly is the gamma rays, which is used in medicine for killing cancer cells. Let us now proceed to question number 3. What is the basic wave equation? So, basic wave equation states the relationship among wave, speed, frequency, and wavelength. Let's look for this formula. So, the velocity is always equal to 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second. The wavelength must be expressed in meters. The frequency must always express in hertz. So, for an example, let's watch the video from Teacher Liz.
What is the wavelength of light waves with a frequency of 6 times 10 raised to 14 Hertz? Ang given natin, B is equal to 3 times 10 raised to 8 meters per second, and that is constant. The speed of light. S is equal to 6 times 10 raised to 14 Hertz. Let's find the lambda or the wavelength. For the solution, write first the formula. B is equal to F lambda. What is the frequency of radio waves with a wavelength of 20 meters? Ang given natin, again, speed of light is equal to 3 times 10 raised to 8 meters per second. And then the lambda or the wavelength, which is equal to 20 meters. Pag i-convert natin sa scientific notation, 2.0 times 10 raised to 1 meter. Now let's find the frequency. So our formula again is A is equal to frequency times lambda. We derive an equation of frequency equals lambda. So the formula divided by lambda. The formula now becomes F is equal to V over lambda. And substitute the values in the formula equation. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 8 minus 1 is 7. The unit is over S or over 7 in that is Hertz. And answer is 1.5 times 10 raised to 7 Hertz.
So I hope that it is clear now for you. At this point, let's have a reflection log. All you have to do is to answer this specific question. What happens to the wavelength of an electromagnetic wave if its frequency increases? You can pause this video to answer. Let's have another activity, but this time we will be having a PostTest. All you have to do is to answer the following questions. Are you ready? Let's go! Let's begin with number 1. Arrange the following forms of electromagnetic waves according to increasing wavelength. You can pause this video to answer. How about in number 2? Arrange the following forms of electromagnetic waves according to increasing frequency. You can pause this video to answer. And finally, in number 3, solve the following. What is the frequency of a microwave that has a wavelength of 1.5 times 10 raised to 2 meter? You can pause this video to answer. This time, let's revisit the pretest, which is all about the agree or disagree. Kindly check your answer. And that ends my slide. Thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something from me today. This has been your soon-to-be teacher. I am Christian Ray Tanayimata, a 4-year BS and English major student of Holy Trinity College of Camarines Sur, saying thank you and see you next time.